All right, we're starting the first day of the Roaster 101, and I'm on mute right now. But I'll try to chime in whenever and see just what happens. Let's get going. Cool, hi, thanks guys. My name is Meg Le Vu. I'm currently calling from Chino, California. We are wedding photographers, chilling right now because, you know, I have about a year or so experience roasting. I have a Mill City 1 kg. Bought that back in November. I love roasting coffee. That's and you guys have been like amazing. The coffee that I had this morning was the last remnants of Nicaragua, honey processed, and then another one I think Colombian. And they're at the end. They were just at the end. I just was going back and forth between those. So I put those two together, made a cup of coffee, AeroPress, excellent. All right. 4 hours later, back to report what I've learned. A lot of information, a lot of it kind of already knew, and a lot I didn't already know. So that was great. I felt like in terms of me being about to let you gauge it, you know, me roasting on a 1 kg machine and with about a year experience of roasting pretty regularly, okay? That's how I felt going into the first day. I wrote down some notes to break it down how the Zoom meeting is structured. I think this would kind of be helpful to know. There's about, I'd say 12 people in the class. There's 2 instructors. It started off with a live roasting session, just very quickly going through a typical roast, but not so typical in that it was sort of rushed, in that it was not rushed, and it was rushed on purpose to kind of just show, hey, we're not trying to change a bunch of things. We're just trying to go through the roast, and that's it. Just kind of go through the motions. There was a big variance in between somebody who's really experienced, who owns a legit roastery and cafe, to somebody who has zero experience, never even touched a roaster before, knows completely zero about coffee. So definitely there was a variance in terms of who was there, who was present. A lot of information, especially because Derek is one of the teachers. He talks really quickly. You really have to be actively listening to understand completely what's going on. And a lot of times, even with the amount of experience that I have, he's talking so quickly, and he speaks with a lot of jargon and a lot of just, you know, he speaks from his gut, from his soul. So a lot of it is his own language. So you have to, I think it would really help you if you understand who Derek is as a person, as an educator, and how he communicates, to really receive what he's saying during this class, if he's going to be one of the educators. Lauren is more a normal person's pace. Like she said, she has a background already in teaching adults. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. So, you know, they're very cognizant of what they're doing and how they're coming. I think they're conscious of how they're coming across camera, but they're not, you know, I respect that. They're not going to change who they are too much. I like that Derek is the way that he is, and I like that Lauren is the way that she is. Because it just goes to show that you can be you still, and you should be. You should always just be you. You know, I'm totally about authenticity and presenting your true self, or, you know, it could be your camera self or your turned on self, but you still should be you on camera, and when you're trying to teach, because you're gonna find your audience. That goes with anything if you're doing stuff on camera like this. So I really appreciated that. It was very, you know, beyond the technical aspect of what Derek was teaching with coffee roasting, there was the feel of it. I think the heart and soul and his passion that really came through, especially in the beginning of the class. And there's a couple things I wrote down here. Talked a lot about Lauren and Derek talked a lot about respect for the product, the coffee, coming from a seed to cup, Lauren calls it seed to cup lecture or seed to cup conversations. And that's exactly what I've been trying to sort of imbue into my passion and how I talk about coffee. When I found out there was so much work, that it changes hands, Lauren said, 17 times before it gets to your cup, before you actually drink it. I think it's just a miracle. It's a miracle that it gets to you and that you get to enjoy it every single day. And that when I AeroPress or pour over or however I'm brewing, I'm thinking about all these hands. I'm thinking about all that stuff. All the work that went into, and it humbles you. And I think that's why not only does that make coffee very special, yes, Black City Coffee or Mill City Coffee or Bodhi Coffee is specialty graded coffee, 80 points and above, but it's also that, Jesus, it took that much. It took so much work and attention and love for this product, this beverage to get into your house, and for you to brew it every day. Amazing. And I also learned this before, but like they had mentioned, somebody who has some experience learning basic things over again, like I expected, you would get another layer of learning, of depth and breadth to your knowledge of the thing that you love. So I was like, cool, which was something very cool, was like, takes one coffee tree for 1 pound of coffee, basically around there. So just imagine how many trees and real estate and work, goes into just this one bag of coffee from El Salvador, like to be processed naturally. They got to dry this stuff out over many acres of land. Oh gosh, smells so good. Ooh, okay. So again, just renewing my love and being inspired again as a roaster, as a learner, upgrading everything that I'm doing concerning coffee, and then bridging that gap into actually the rest of my life. That's what coffee is for me. Some other things, just go through my notes here. 60%, I already knew this, but I'm going to share it here. I just wrote down all these really kind of like interesting things, whether I knew them or not. 60% of the world's coffee is Robusta, lower grade coffee. About 35% is Arabica. Most of y'all are probably aware of that. And then 10%, or the rest of that percentage, I don't know math, is specialty grade coffee. 80 points and above, graded by coffee graders, legitimate coffee graders. Isn't that cool? Because of climate change, by 2051, they predict the world will be producing half as much coffee as it is right now. Okay, so something's got to give. Vietnam, my husband's ethnicity, is the second largest producer of coffee in the world. Always been known to be lesser quality coffee, but that may be changing because things need to change. Another thing in terms of respect, respect meant as a roaster, and this I think touched me a lot more because I'm still learning, of course. So I'm still developing my own system and what Derek calls your roaster gut. You have to use a lot of technicality, but you also have to use a lot of feeling and experience. And just kind of like, I feel like we should make this move. Consistency. Respect for the coffee means becoming consistent. Because you don't want to you don't want to be this cog in the chain that fucks it up. Basically, you don't want to fuck it up. All right, to be honestly very blunt and to be very real with you, and this is how I think, this is how I talk to myself. This is my own mental language. I'm sorry if you have baby ears, but when I'm roasting, I'm like, don't fuck it up. It took so much work and love and care to get to here, to get to my house, to get to my roaster, and I'm roasting and I'm like trying to be so present and trying to execute everything that I've learned up until this point. And I try to be as forgiving to myself as possible, but I want it to be good. And this is what I say to myself. don't fuck it up. As a roaster, I should be now moving over to finding one country of origin that I like to roast, and then finding at least three different regions within that one country, and roasting and cupping those and seeing the nuance, just to keep expanding the palette and keep expanding my breadth of knowledge with different types of green from different types of countries. So I will be doing that later. Another thing that I wrote down, there was a bunch of stuff, but these were just things that kind of stuck out to me when I could write down some notes, is we don't cup profiles, we cup coffee. So in the very end, out of all the technicality, out of all of the specialty grade, packaging, marketing, where it's from, all this stuff, it's really about what's in the cup, you know. So at the end of the day, you know, we do a lot of this fluffy, fancy technicality, but it's always a nice reminder and a sort of like, it's okay, like a pat on the back. Do you like what you taste? You know, do you like your coffee? Do you like it? You know, doesn't have to be 96 points on the scale. Doesn't have to be if it's Folgers for some reason in your cup, or if it's Starbucks. You know, do you like what's in your cup? That's it. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. That's what matters. So that was my first day. I wanted to make this video. It's 3:19, class just ended. I wanted to just kind of get on camera and brain dump what I felt and what I learned. Tomorrow we're going to be doing more grading and cupping, so that'll be a little bit more interactive in terms of what you see here as I create content through the rest of this course. So far, loving it so far. At the end of everything, I will give like I think, this is what I'm feeling. I feel like I will give a very thorough, quote unquote, review of this whole course. That way you can kind of gauge if it's right for you. Or maybe you're still deciding, hey, I'm going to take this course, but I can maybe give you some tips like, hey, maybe read up about these terms so you're not totally lost. Yes, it is for beginners, but I think it still helps to just give yourself an extra head start. Like if you're, don't be a D student coming in. Don't be a C student. Don't even be a B student, because be like an overactive Asian like myself who was always like, I'm going to be an A student. I'm going to become extra prepared, or as prepared as I can be. And I'll share that with you kind of like at the end. Okay. So when I have a full understanding of this whole course and not just on the first day. Okay. So good things. I hope this is helpful, and if you're in the class with me, there's some people in the class who were like, hey, I'm a fan of Black City Coffee. That's so dope. So great to meet you. Hit me up on IG and on YouTube, and yeah, we can connect there. Okay, good things. See you tomorrow with another video. Peace.